Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of She Constructs. I'm here this morning with my friend Heather. I met Heather, I don't know, like a bazillion years ago when we were both in high school in a youth organization when we were young pups. And from there, we just kind of kept in touch over the years. And now she's this awesome woman in engineering field, and she's here today to talk to us about all of that. So good morning, Heather.
Good morning. Thanks, Paula. Yeah, so my name is Heather Robillard, and I'm currently working in the mining industry in Calgary, Alberta. And so I'm up a little earlier than Paula this morning, but that's okay. Not unreasonably, which is always nice. So just super quickly about me, I prefer Starbucks over Tim Hortons. Sorry.
I do too.
In my spare time, I'm on a curling team, which I actually didn't start. I didn't learn how to curl until I moved to Alberta.
Nice.
And I have two kids, and they are teenagers, and all that fun stuff is starting with teenagers. They're starting to develop personalities and push back on mine, which is good and hard at the same time.
For sure.
And my husband has a stay-at-home business, like a business from our home, so he's an entrepreneur as well. So we have both dabbled in that over the years as well. So we've kind of had an interesting life so far. 20 years now in Calgary, which is crazy
That's awesome.
to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It doesn't feel that long, actually.
No.
And I didn't even do the moving. Heather, tell us what you do for your job and what like a normal day would kind of look for you.
Sure. So I'm currently the lead engineer of waste planning at Canadian Natural Resources Limited, their Horizon Oil Sands mine, which is a mine north of Fort McMurray in northern Alberta. And what that really means is that I and my team make sure that there is a place to contain all of the tailings that is made as a product or byproduct of extracting the oil out of the oil sands. And so tailings is just a mixture of sand and fine clay particles and water. And my team has to figure out where to contain it all. And relatively insignificant, you might think. However, Horizon Mine itself moves 1 million tons of dirt a day.
Wow.
It is a massive, massive mining operation. We produce over 250,000 barrels of oil a day, and that produces a lot of byproduct.
Yeah.
So it's coming at us at a very fast rate. And so sometimes, actually most days don't go as I originally planned. But a typical day for me, I actually, because I'm the lead of the team, I spend a lot of time in meetings. And for what that's worth, I had to rewrite what productivity meant to me when I took this role, because I was getting really frustrated, as you can imagine, as starting out as an engineer. I didn't, manipulate a spreadsheet today. So how did I add value? So I look at it a lot of the time as I facilitate communication between a lot of different groups of people in order to make sure that the operation continues to run as much as on plan as possible. So yeah, that's a large part of my role, is making sure that people are talking to each other and trying to help everybody understand each other is one of the other big parts.
Mm-hmm. A lot of project management going on in your role.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Heather, why engineering? I know that you went to Queen's, mm-hmm. and tell us why engineering. What took you there, and what it was like to be a woman in engineering 20 years ago. That's
sure.
Cool.
Yeah. Why engineering? Well, growing up in a smaller town in Southern Ontario, I did not really have a lot of exposure to engineering. my family background, most of aunts and uncles, et cetera, are teachers. Um, and so I was exposed to engineering through a guidance counselor at high school, um, because I really liked math and science. I was good at it, but I didn't want to be a teacher.
Mhm.
Not I'm not patient enough. And I also wanted to make sure that I took a degree that I could be fully employable and making money after one degree, not having to go
Right.
back and do several in order to really make money. And so, honestly, it was kind of a selfish. I engineered it, as you might say, in just sheer. I don't know even if you call it laziness, but it was efficient, not lazy.
Right.
And so I chose Queen's because it was the furthest university from where my parents lived, and still being in Ontario, uh, that and
So
that
many of us do that. We used to do that.
yeah, that and, I mean, the campus, I just fell in love with it when I went to
Mhm.
visit. My mom took me to visit, and it was either that or Waterloo, and the Waterloo campus was so stark and concrete and just really had, you know, very little life in it, and compared to Queens and the red
Right.
brick and the right on Lake Ontario and all those things, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
What it was like being in female in engineering 25 years ago um, was, I wouldn't say difficult. I think there were a lot of, for me in my mining class, shockingly, we were about a third women, which
Wow.
was massive for the time. And so we found a lot of camaraderie there, a lot of support, actually. Um, it never really bothered me. I don't know.
Right.
I noticed, but I didn't notice. Like it was never really. I was never up against, or certainly not that I remember, a few profs, but certainly this on the student side, there was never any indication that, oh, you're different because you're female. There was never
Oh,
any of that. Certainly summer jobs when I went, to work in a mine in some small town in Northern Ontario type thing. There were issues there, but never with my class. Yeah,
oh, that's awesome. Um, yeah, that's incredible because I do know, like, my husband's an engineer, and he has mentioned because he did go to Waterloo, that there was a lot fewer women, like
hmm
maybe 3 or 4 only in his courses. So to know that there was one third back then, that's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible.
yeah, absolutely. And it was just, I honestly think it was just a fluke because there certainly weren't a third women in engineering in Queens at all. It was probably, I think, about 10%. And so for some reason, this one year,
That's
a whole
great.
bunch of us decided to go into mining. I don't know. It was fabulous. It was really great.
You mentioned a little bit about having some troubles during co-ops, and I'm sure during the course of your whole career, you've run into um, some difficulties, perhaps with folks not loving the fact that you're a woman in engineering or in the mining industry. Can you give us a couple of tips or ways that you took those experiences and really grew from them and didn't let them hold you back?
For sure. Yeah. I really remember one, and I have no idea where I got the courage to do this. I really remember one summer working underground, and it was my first day, and I was hooked up with my crew, and we went down in the cage in the elevator to the mine, and they walked me to the lunchroom, and they said, okay, you sit here, we'll come back at lunch. Pardon me? You know, uh, and they were, they did not want to work with me or have me work with them because I was female. They weren't used to it. All of the females in their lives, with their wives, their mothers, their sisters, and as you can imagine, I'm sure you've experienced this often. People have different personalities when they're at
Mhm.
work. than when they're at home. It's a lot more rough. There's a lot of swearing, smoking, spitting, whatever it is, lots of crude jokes, all of those things that they could not possibly imagine being themselves while working with their mother or their sister or their wife. And so I just in that moment felt devastated, but also like I got to stand up for myself. And if I want to learn how to do my job properly, I need to learn what they're doing. I need to learn what pisses them off when the engineer gives, like some ridiculous plan to them and says, go and do this. And they're like, dude, if you actually came down here and did this work, you would not be asking us to do this. And so I just stood up to them and I said, look, if you want me to be the shitty engineers that you keep complaining about, by all means, let me sit in the lunchroom. But that's on you, because if you take the opportunity to teach me, if you take the opportunity to integrate me into your team and really involve me in what you guys do and learning what you do, I will be a better engineer. And I just, in that one experience, this, of course, is reflecting back on 20 years later. I was not that coherent at the time that this is what I was doing. But reflecting back, I was like, wow, I just grew some big kahunas and I stood up for myself. And really, I stood up for, I'd like to think, some of the women who came behind me. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you did, because I'm sure that made them think not only just about women, but perhaps, male engineers that come into their doors, and they just look at them and make an assumption that they're not going to be good enough, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So just on body type and whatnots, right? Like just
Yeah.
stay
Well,
here,
and,
we'll take care of everything.
and you're married to an engineer, a lot of engineering, especially coming out of university, engineers are very cocky. We're taught to be cocky. We're taught that in school. And I think just coming from a place of humility really, really adds value. I don't know. You need to teach me what
Right.
you need me to know. And so just coming at it from that perspective of, yes, I understand engineers can be jerks. Insert whatever expletive you want.
Very strong rule enforcers.
But I really want to understand. And I think that is one of the key aspects that I have employed for, a lot of my career. Is just that curiosity, that humility, all of those things. And not ever laying down and saying, I'm really stupid, I don't know what I'm doing. It's not
Right.
that. It's more, please help me understand your perspective. Please help me understand really what you want me to know, what I need to know.
I just have like a whole can of worms that I've got questions for you now, but I'm going to try to stay focused here, because I need to stay focused on what we're talking about. I remember seeing pictures on your Facebook page all the years ago where you're like this tall against those huge trucks.
Yeah.
What was it like? How many women worked with you when you were out there, and what was that like? Like, just I can't imagine just feeling like a small, tiny person amongst all these huge Tonka trucks. Like,
it's funny. It was just really exciting. I mean,
yeah.
I went into mining because I wanted to get my hands dirty. I wanted to do something applied that I could see, that I could build or unbuild. Really, I'm digging out of the ground. So so then the trucks, and they still, I love going past. My kids are like, Mom, come on. I'm like, but look, the machinery is so amazing. It's so cool. They're like, yeah, no. It was daunting a little bit, but by the same token, male, female, if you're learning how to drive a 400-ton haul truck, you're insignificant in that moment anyway, irrespective of, your gender. Uh, so there was one other woman student on my shift when I was driving haul truck, and we frankly just we hung out together. Like, we supported each other. We hung out together. She was super fun, and but I don't think it was just maybe I'm wrong. I don't think it was just because she and I were both female. I think it was just because we clicked personality wise, and we ended up hanging out together, after work and those types of things as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to ask you one more thing. I want you to tell me about your favorite workplace or moment memory, and tell us that little piece of insight from you. Your favorite moment.
Oh, that's a tough one. There are a lot of non-favorite moments.
Non-favorite.
There are a lot of good ones too. I'm a words of affirmation person, so I really feel good when people are praising me, or my ego does. Everybody has a thing,
I'll
right?
do. Yep.
And so, to me, I'm getting actually in the role I'm in now, although it is really difficult at times. One of my managers is really good at lifting me up. He's really good at affirming, oh, that one thing that you did over there, that was really great. We really need you to keep, you're the one that we're relying on, basically, to have some of these conversations. And so it might not be one specific moment, Paula, but I think it's moments in time where people have dribbled in those affirmative words, and yeah, you're doing a good job, not just in your performance review, but
right.
Just ad hoc, off the cuff type things. Yeah, and honestly, one of my favorite memories, just very specifically, is I had my own consulting company for a while, and I worked from home when the kids were really little. And I was working on a project, and I did the whole thing myself. From I planned an entire mine. I did all the economics. I wrote the report that had to go into the government to make sure that this company was able to raise money on the stock market. All of those things. Of course, I had support, but that was one of my favorite things of my career, is doing this entire project from start to finish, essentially by myself, and I could do it. It was amazing. Not to say there weren't issues along the way, but I did it. And that to me was just such an amazing achievement. Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that moment,
Thank
that
you.
project.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
It's always great to have that thing that makes you feel so proud and reflect back and be like, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Heather. We're going to shut this down because we've been chatting for a little bit.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I definitely feel as though we're going to want you back because you've got some great stories and some little tidbits for us and stuff. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You have a great day. I hope that Calgary is warm.
It's coming up. Apparently Friday is supposed to be 15 degrees. I'll believe it when I see it.
Oh,
Which is
great.
crazy. Yeah. So yeah. Sun's shining now, so that's good.
That is good. That is good. Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks a whole bunch, Heather.
Thanks, Paula. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.